show tonight? Yes. All right. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming and supporting the TCB Internationals and TCB International, who is our producers of the show tonight. We will be getting started in a few minutes. We have a couple introductions to make and a couple guest speakers that we'd love to bring up to meet you people. First of all, what I'd like to tell you about is we have a tournament tomorrow. Tomorrow's tournament starts in the morning. We have all our kids competing. Today was our black belt day. We had a fantastic turnout. We had a lot of good competition, and it really started off the weekend for us well. So tomorrow, if you have kids that are competing, or if you'd like to come by and see some incredible martial artists, please come and join us tomorrow at the tournament. It's tomorrow morning. Thank you. Now, to get things started. Yes, sir, right here in this room. Okay, to get things started, those of you that know Elvis Presley had a past with Mr. Edmund Parker. He met Mr. Parker at a hotel, and he saw Mr. Parker at the Beverly Wilshire Hilton perform a demonstration. He was so amazed by the way the man moved that after the demo, he went to Mr. Parker and he said, "You're a rebel in your field, just like I am. I want you to teach me Kenpo karate." And Ed Parker started his relationship with Elvis Presley and became his instructor. Therefore, Elvis Presley, who happens to be one of Mr. Ed Parker's most famous black belts, and he made it, I believe, to 7th degree black with Mr. Parker. Today, we have an individual who was the real deal, who was with Elvis, who is one of Elvis's bodyguards, and happens to be a 10th degree black belt in American Kenpo karate. And I'd like to take this time to introduce to you our special guest who's going to talk about his time with Elvis Presley before we start the show. And this is Mr. Dave Hebler. Let's give him a warm applause here. Mr. Hebler, thank you for coming. And I'd like you to share a couple of stories with the audience. And here we go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Nice to be here. As you can imagine, over the years, I've received a whole bunch of questions about Elvis Presley. I'm wondering if you know what the #1 question was, and still is. And you probably don't. So I'll tell you, but before I tell you, I've learned that answering questions, you have to have a little bit of a sense of humor about the whole thing, because the questions get crazy. The #1 question is Elvis still alive? Swear to God. So, I usually answer with a little bit of humor by saying, yes, he is. And I keep him in my closet and feed him peanut butter and banana sandwiches, fried and butter. The #2 question is, this is usually from guys, yeah, Elvis Presley's bodyguard, huh? I bet that was a pretty cool job, huh? And you might think that was a pretty cool job, huh? It was a terrible job. It was awful. It was awful. It was the worst job on the face of the planet. Let me tell you why. Everywhere we went, there were hundreds of love-crazed women just doing their best to try to get next to Elvis Presley, and it was my job to keep them from doing that. I often had to sacrifice my own body to save him. And the third question is, well, the question that you need to write a book to talk about, and that question is, what was Elvis Presley really like? So I'll tell you a story about Elvis Presley that I think you can relate to. Most of you are aware of the fact that Elvis was a very generous human being. He probably was one of the most generous human beings ever. The most generous I ever met, anyhow. And I'll give you a little idea of what that was like. So here we are, Memphis, Tennessee, driving around, not doing anything, just hanging out. I don't remember who was driving the car, but Elvis was in the front seat, and I was in the back seat. And we're just driving around, telling lies, and having a good time. And all of a sudden, Elvis said, "Hey, I want to buy you a car." I said, "Well, that's nice, Elvis. You don't have to do that." He said, "Yeah, I know I don't have to do that, but I want to buy you a car." I said, "Oh, you just bought me a Mercedes like 2 years ago. You don't have to buy me a car." He said, "No, I don't have to buy you a car. I know I bought you a Mercedes, but I want to buy you a car." I said, "Yeah, but you don't have to." The next thing I know, he turned around, stuck a gun in my face, a loaded gun, folks, and said, "You're going to take this car, or I'm going to blow your head off." I went, okay, I'll take the car. I didn't know it was so serious. So I took the car. It was a new Lincoln. It had everything on it. Drove it for 20 years. Put 250,000 miles on it. Blew something in the engine. And then I sold it to a guy who had a Elvis museum in Las Vegas called Elvis Orama. Some of you may have actually gone there. And there, he had to do some work on the car. Well, his name is Chris Davidson, and Chris is the editor of Hot Boat magazine. Still is to this day. So he has access to a lot of mechanics and people that work on boats and stuff like that. So he's working on the engine on the car, gets it all running and everything, and then fires it up and lights it on fire. Really? So they put the fire up. Now he's got to really fix the car. So he spends $25,000, goes through the entire car, paints it. The original color was silver with velour interior, and he hated the color silver, and he knew my favorite color was purple, so he painted it purple with white leather interior. And that car today sits in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum in Canton, Ohio. And you go see it, and there's a plaque got my name on it and all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
Anyhow, those are the 3 biggest questions.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Elvis. Thank you so much. Okay, we've got one more special guest tonight. This gentleman is known as the King of Customs. How many of you have seen the original Batman movie? Mr. George Barris, who created the Batmobile, who created the Monster car for the TV show Monsters, and he's done a lot of Elvis Presley's cars. He's been around for many, many, many years, and I would like to bring Mr. George Barris up to the stage, and he's going to tell you a couple things that he did with Elvis Presley. Mr. George Barris.
Hi y'all. Thank you very much for having me, but I'd like to tell you a couple of stories. There was a young man I was doing a car for in my shops, a big limousine. He comes in and he goes to all of my people. I have 20 people working for me. He goes to all my people. He goes to Tubbs, my painter, been with me for 35 years. "Mr. Tubbs, how are you feeling today? I heard you were sick last week." He knew he was sick. "Mr. Tony, how's your 14-year-old boy? Doing good?" went to all 22 guys and called them sir and called them mister. That young man was really Elvis Presley. Just to give you an idea of what he thought of everybody around him that helped him and did a lot of work with him. It was a thrill to do work for Elvis. The Cadillac limousine we did for him. We had a TV in the back and an ice player and a record player and everything else. But it looked like a yacht. We put portholes in the back so that he felt like he was in his boat, or one of the boats that has a yacht. So to give you the idea, a couple of things that he was. He called me one morning about 4 o'clock in the morning. He said, George, I just been recording. I'd sure like to buy my bus. That's right. We built a Greyhound bus for him with hydraulic seats. 4 o'clock in the morning, we called Joe, we called gang, all the gang together. We all jumped into the bus. Gets in there, we strap him in, get the hydraulics working. Boom, off to Vegas we go. Goes in there, gasses up, turns around, and comes back. Just give him a thrill to have something like that. Just give you an idea of what he liked in cars and buses and everything. One of the things I really respected of him is when he was going with Priscilla, and he came in here for the service on a furlough. We're up at the home up in Beverly Hills. 3 o'clock in the morning, everybody's getting ready to go home. And Elvis said, Priscilla, I don't want you staying here at my home. I want you to go stay with George and Shirley, my dear friends. Show you how respectful he was for that young, beautiful lady. Every night he'd come with his limousine, pick her up, and he'd walk into the house. He never would make her have to come out the door or be alone. And he guided her to the limousine, went out to dinner, and brought her back every night. Just to show you how many people in our industry are that way, that nice, and to be a famous guy.
Yes. Yes.
And another guy, though, total opposite. Michael Jackson, you heard about him? Just to give you an idea of the opposite. He brings his Rolls Royce in, and he says, George, I got something. My car's been hurt. That's what he talks. I said, Michael, don't worry about it. When he means it's hurt, there's a little scratch or a little nick or something around there. And he'd walk around the rolls and come back around. But George, my car is hurt, really hurt. I said, Michael, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. He disappears, and 2 hours later he comes back. He went to the drugstore, got white Band-Aids, and went around every little scratch and put a white Band-Aid on. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an opposite of what we do with many of the people that we work with in the industry. It's my thrill to be a part of all of those guys doing Batman and Monsters and Monkeys and Beverly Hillbillies and Knight Rider. Everyone's got a story at home. We'd have to be here for a long time for me to tell you, but I hope you enjoy some of the tales that you can tell you about Elvis and many other guys. Thank you all for having me.
The king of Hassan. Okay, you've been sitting here a long time. Are you guys ready for a show? Yeah! Come on, you gotta get together now. And we go for a review. TCB Internationals presents a tribute to the king. Hit it!